everyone, Ed here from Solo Quest. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about Arena, the contest. As you can see from all of this stuff that is on the table, this is a very big game. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff inside of these boxes. So first of all, this copy was provided by Drugari Games. Thank you so much to Drugari Games, to Alexander, who was a super nice person to deal. They are fantastic, very nice people. They sent a copy so that I could showcase it to all of you. We're going to have a playthrough as well later on. I wanted to get the review out of the way first, but we will have a playthrough here for the game as well, so that you can maybe see how the game plays and have a better notion of all the mechanics of the game and make an informed, better and more informed decision for yourself in case if you like the game or if you don't. Maybe you just want to ignore everything that I'm going to say about in this video, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, more power to you. I really think everyone should definitely research the game and see more and more content just to make sure they are making an informed buy. I'm all in for that, and yeah, so we will have a playthrough later on here for this game. But today I'm just going to talk about my personal opinion. Again, this is very personal. These are my thoughts while I played the game. So, Arena the Contest, this is, for those of you who haven't heard about it yet, this is a dungeon crawler game, mostly. It's not something that has a map that you're going to be building up as you play, discovering it as you play, something like Descent with the app. This is a fixed board, a bit like the Hero Quest of old, like Altar Quest is trying to bring again. It is a fixed board, but the layout of this board, it's going to change according to the missions. You're going to have a layout, and you will be forming the dungeon with all of the components in these boxes. So walls, doors, you're going to have that layout, and you will be building the configuration of the dungeon here on this main board. It's pretty much blank, and you're just moving around these pieces, which I will talk about in the review here on all of this space. And that's pretty good. That's one of the great aspects that I'll talk about later on. But just to give you a very quick overview of the game, this is a dungeon crawler. It is a campaign game or not. It has that option, so you can do a big campaign with not that big. It's about 6 to 7 plays. You're going to follow along the story, or if you want to, you can just pick one of those story scenarios and just go and play them as one-offs. Things actually change. There are tweaks if you are playing the campaign. Things change a little bit, so because it's a campaign, you're getting upgrades, so they did make the scenarios a bit harder if you are doing the campaign, but you can do them one-offs. The difficulty is fine, the balance is fine on those, you can definitely do that. Or if you want to, it also has a PvP component, so you can pick up this game. PvP isn't soloable yet, but you can pick up this game and play it as a team versus team with your family and friends. Just pick a team of heroes, each one of you, and then fight off on this board as well. So yeah, it is, but mostly, I mean, at least for solo, you will be playing it as a dungeon crawler, and we're here to talk about the solo play for the game. So yes, it is going to be a dungeon crawler, a bit of more traditional dungeon crawler, a bit of it brings memories of those old games, those old dungeon crawlers, the Games Workshop games and Hero Quests, all of that. So I haven't played them for ages, one of those. So it was a good journey back to the past, the time I had with Arena the Contest. So. But again, I'm going to talk not about everything, but I'll talk about the main points that I think should be addressed here when I talk about this game. So, first of all, I usually talk about the setup of the game. So setup is fairly easy. You'll be getting, so there are 3 books with the game. You will have your quest guide, which has the scenarios. So this is the scenario book, let's call it like that. Also quest guide. You have the campaign tome, so this is mainly story stuff, story related. As you are going through in the campaign, you will be advancing, you will be addressed to read parts of a few pages, so that the story is moving forward. You'll also have some cards that talk about the story, But yeah, it's between this campaign deck, there's going to be a campaign deck, and this campaign tome that has the lore, has you know, all of that chunky bits of text that you may want to read to advance the story. Then there's the rulebook, of course. So yeah, as I was saying, the setup is pretty much you'll open up your quest guide, and there you go. You have the setup here for one map. You just set up these pieces. It doesn't take forever. It's pretty straightforward. You just put the layout of the map. It's quite all right. I don't have much of an issue with the setup, mainly with a few things that are actually being improved. So stuff like, for example, one thing that I like a lot is having the HP. You have an HP track here. It's on the border of the game board. And you're going to have to pick up these little tokens for each of the characters. If there's doors, you can destroy them. You're going to pick up a token for that door as well. They have different colors. You'll have those colors depicted on the quest guide. So having to sort all of these little tokens might take a while. They might make the setup a bit slower. But they are actually doing new tokens now for the Tenaris Adventure, which is an expansion that was very... it was on Kickstarter not long ago. Actually, the late pledge is open right now, and I'll talk about that further on as well. But there are new tokens now, not for each character specifically, but for the class of the character. Because in this game you can't repeat classes. If I have one of these archers, which they have another name, now I can't remember, but for example the rogues are tacticians. You can only have one tactician. It's a combat role. You can only have one hero with that role. So, I mean, you can just pick up a token of the tactician and there you go. So, in that sense, it's going to speed up the setup a little bit. And also, while you are playing, it will be easier to identify the characters. I didn't have that much of a problem with it, but I've seen people complain about it. And since they are addressing it and making tokens now for the class and not the characters themselves, it seems like it was a big issue for people. So, with that in mind, yes, it is that is being improved. But overall, just summarizing the setup, for me, it's fine. It's for a game like this, it's actually fast, because dungeon crawlers usually are not easy to set up, or it's either that or you are, while playing, oh, I just opened up this room and now the map is going to evolve. There's things that I'm going to discover and I'll have to place them during gameplay. So even while, let's say, something like Mansions of Madness, your setup is quite basic and quick at the start, but if you sum up all of the setup that you are doing while playing, while you are discovering new rooms, it's going to pile into a, well, it's a fairly long setup if you were to do it all in once. But it's kind of hidden in these mechanisms of you finding rooms, and oh, it's just one or two rooms. It's quick. But if you pile it again, if you just jam it all into one session, it's not that quick. So honestly, here you just do everything at the start, pretty much. So it is a very quick setup, and that's a good thing for a game of this caliber and this dimension. It is a pro. For me, it's a big pro, because again, setup is really important for me. If a game is fast to set up, I'm going to be playing it way more often. Even if I don't like it as much as another one, man, I can get this played really quick. I don't have that much time, so yeah, I'm gonna go for the quicker one. So that is a plus. So another thing that you might find when you are, well, unboxing the game, setting up, is the components. So I'm just going to talk, I'll divide talking about the components in two parts. So we have the base box here, where we don't get these cool 3D pieces. We get these simple, very simple walls. These are just cardboard, all right? They do the trick, but they're not as epic. I mean, they're not. So one thing that I love about the components, I'll talk about this later, is the artwork. This game has the perfect artwork for me. This is exactly what I like. I don't really like those, well, I don't like chibi, that's for sure. And I don't like that cartoonish look too much. I love, I'm just going to talk to about Dungeons & Crawlers because that's a comparison. The Descent is a bit cartoonish. I like it, but I don't love it. Gloomhaven is, well, it's weird. I don't like the quality of the drawing in Gloomhaven. And I just looked at Frosthaven, and I don't know. I don't like that the drawing, the quality of the drawing, the Necromancer. I'm sorry, but I find it hideous. I really don't like that that drawing. But here, this art is fantastic. This art, it kind of it's not cartoonish at all. It's like a realistic style, and it looks so good. And it looks great with the overall graphic design. So here's just an example of a drawing. Here's another one. You have like this werewolf. I don't know, everything. This is just an upgrade with plus health, but hey, they did some nice artwork in it. The back is great. So this is kind of like epic fantasy artwork. It's not grim dark, as we see a lot of nowadays. This is epic fantasy, high fantasy style artwork. I'm usually not that much into high fantasy with big spells and magic. But it really suits the game very well. I love the artwork here. This is just very personal taste, of course. People might enjoy chibi, might enjoy more cartoonish. For me, this is a big plus. This might be my favorite artwork that I own in terms of overall game, the overall look of a game. I think this might be the game with my favorite artwork. There's other stuff I like more, of course. Game cover, this is not my favorite game cover, but the overall look of the game, this might be it. Now, with that said, there are some things that I do not like in terms of components, and that's the styles. I talked about them in the unboxing, the lava tiles. So these are environment pieces that are going to be spread around in the board. You might not mind them because they don't have that much of an impact, although if there are lava pieces, they'll be sitting right there for the whole game. You will be looking at them through the whole game, so I wish they were a bit nicer. First of all, the colors are a bit faded, and like I said in the unboxing, I would have preferred this to have a bit of a border here. Whoops, a border just to show that there's a passage from what we see on the board, which are like stone tiles, into this lava, because as it is, I mean, it's just floor lava. I wish these tiles had a bit of a I don't know, a stone border just to make it more natural looking. I would say if you turn this board around, it's actually, this is a dual side board. On the other side there's a predetermined layout for PvP, if I'm not mistaken, and there are lava pieces, and actually the lava artwork on the other side has those borders that I'm talking about. So that would be perfect. I would just do that here as well. I think it would look much nicer. Now these walls, I mean, they are what they are. You can't do much more than this with using cardboard. So overall, in terms of components, this is the one thing I don't like, is the lava. Apart from that, as I said, the artwork is fantastic. So overall, the rest of the components in this box are just fine. You could get this Imperial box, and you can get these components here on this Kickstarter, the late pledge, sorry, for Tenaris as well. So nothing wrong about this box. And this one, Heroes and Dungeons, is brilliant. This is I mean, this is fantastic. I love the look of the game with this. If I mean, I've always played with the 3D dungeon. I could not play with this. I would refuse if someone invited me to play the game with this. With these pieces, I would refuse to play the game with this. It's just another level if you use this. These walls, they are fantastic. They are very sturdy. The quality is really good. They are detailed. I mean, this is not a blank wall at all. It has a lot of texture. There are some stones that are popping out of this, like they're not all at the same level. They are really well done. The doors are pretty good. They are really good. You just want to use this in every single dungeon crawl that you play. This is fantastic. I love these 3D components. And so yeah, if you have the whole package, it's a plus. It's not just a plus, it's a plus. It's fantastic. I really love the look. I mean, after you set everything up, you just look at this and you really want to play the game. I mean, you really feel that urge because it looks fantastic. It really draws you in. It sucks you in. It really adds to the immersion factor. Sorry, let's let's actually rewind and talk about the components. There's another negative here that I would like to talk about, which is, I've started talking about the fiddliness with these little tokens here. That for me isn't that impactful, but some people complain about it, so I thought I'd mention it. But again, this one is being improved. But there are two other aspects that I'm not a fan of. I think one of them is being addressed. The other one, I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't think it is. So when you are playing the game, let me get a few cards here. So this game is played, it's pretty simple, honestly. You have, let's say, Cedric. You have 4 cards here for Cedric. If you're doing the campaign, you might upgrade and have a few more cards. That can happen. But let's talk about the basics here. You have 4 cards in your hand, 2 special attacks, 2 normal attacks. You will be playing these attacks, choosing 1 card to play on your turn, with limitations on special attacks. And there you go. You play your card, you do the actions on the card, and that's it. Now, some cards, like this one, says effects, the target is exposed. This is a condition. So exposed means that the target is going to be easier to hit for another hero. Another hero won't have to roll so much to hit him. Now, how do you track this condition? You pick up the card and you place it next to that villain card. You're going to have cards here for all of the villains. They have colored rings to identify each one of them. So let's say there are 3 of these little crossbowmen, the villains. One would be red, green, and yellow. And you're going to have a green, red, and yellow card as well here on the table to identify each of them. And I can just take my ability card and place it next to that villain to identify that he is exposed, okay? When he loses the exposed, I just pick my card and bring it to my discard pile. All right, seems simple. And it is simple. It's a simple game. It's a simple game, at least the idea, the general idea of your turn is pretty simple. You pick a card and you play it. But I think that when you put everything together, it's not so simple. There's a fiddliness in keeping track of things, and this one is a good example with the conditions. I've seen other people complain, so I'm not the only one. Having this card right, let's say I'm playing here, okay? So this is big enough, and now I have all my hero stuff, which honestly I haven't found a good way to organize my table. So you always have to play for heroes. The boards are big, you have all of these cards to sort of your heroes, the ones you've played, the ones you haven't. So that's going to take a bit of space. Let's say I put all of that here on the right. Then there's the villain stuff. So the villain stuff I'm going to have to put here on, I usually put here on top of my game board. So I'm playing a turn and I'm having to look at a lot of stuff. I'm looking at the board to try to decide where I want to position myself, because that's very important in the game. I'm looking at all of the cards to see, okay, did anyone play anything that benefits me? Like a buff, do I have a buff? Okay, let me check my buff. Now let me check my my passive ability. All right, so yeah, great, now I can attack this guy. And I have to also look here to see if he has any conditions. That I have to look to so many places just to do a turn of one character. There's 4 per turn, and it takes a while because of that. If I had a small token, I would put it here. He's exposed. I don't have to keep looking at the top of the board, and the turns would just go way more snappier, I believe. Even buffs, I mean, buffs, okay, sure, I get it. Just place it on my character card, because I usually look there just to make sure I'm using my passive ability. So I'm fine with that, but please don't make me look at the villain cards either. They are giving us tokens, from what I understand, for the conditions, and I will definitely be using them. Of course, you can use the cards; they work. They work. It's not like they're spectacular, but I don't like having to track the card in there. Also, there are abilities. It happened to me during the campaign of a card that copies another one. So that's weird, because this one is here, now I copied something. How do I track that with the other cards? I'll be placing the other card, so you know what I mean? So if this one is already in play, I can't, let's say this, I'm copying this card that does exposed condition. All right, I place this one and I place the other one. I'll have to remember what the other one copied, because I don't have a token to track that it is exposed. So if I had a token, I would just put great, I copied this condition, expose token here, there. I'll remember, I don't have to remember what I am copying with the other one. So there are situations, and a lot of them I think, where the tokens are going to help. I will definitely be using the tokens. It will be my preferred state to follow these conditions. So that's one negative for me. It's a whole negative for me. It's the fiddliness of the components. There's another example right here, and this is the one actually that for me is the worst. It is the upgrades. When you are playing the campaign, you're going to be upgrading your character. You can get these cards, these upgrades. This one is plus 10 health. This one is one more to your attack rolls, because everything is done with this D20. I'm fine with that. I don't usually like dice, but I'm fine with that. And this one more power, so this is one more damage every time you're dealing damage. All right, so how do you track this? You have your character here, and you have these cards, these big, huge cards. This is a big card just to say that I'm doing 10 more health. And I don't know how people do this. I take my character sheet, and I was placing them just beneath my character sheet like this, so that the plus health was visible here. And I was getting more and more upgrades because these are big cards, and I don't know how many you can have visible, but there's not that many. And I kept forgetting them because they're kind of tucked under it. They're not easy to spot, at least for me they weren't. I mean, this is very personal. I don't know if this happens to other people. I would love to see people's organization while playing this game. I really would, because that's something that I kind of need help with. But something that I was always forgetting, not the health one, because the plus health, it matters for the setup, and then you're just being beaten, it's not going to matter much. But the damage one, sorry, I kept forgetting about adding damage. Now, what I would have loved would be some tokens as well. Again, this is more tokens, but tokens like Eldritch Horror or Mansions of Madness, where you can upgrade your skills, your perception, or those skills, I can't remember the names. You have these little small roundish tokens. You just place them next to that ability. So just a green +1, a blue +1, red +10, and a yellow +1. And I would just place them right here, and it would be, for me, so much easier to track my upgrades. I think it would be way better than these big cards, because again, like I said, things already take a lot of space on the table. So yeah, for me, this is like a whole package of fiddliness with the components. Again, the upgrades, the conditions that are tracked with cards, I don't like it. And these little character tokens that people refer to. So yeah, that's the whole package of fiddly components that I don't appreciate. And that brings me to another plus, which is the value proposition here with this game. I think this is a great deal. Recently we had, what's it called? Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein, the board game, was on Kickstarter. They also had 3D walls. I mean, they had a more complex package, but the price was way higher than this. I mean, it was a bit expensive, but it was, some people called it fair. I'm not sure. I don't know how much it costs to do this, but I think the value proposition overall, if you bought like this bundle at the first Kickstarter, and you can get this at the late pledge as well, this is a great value proposition. This box alone, I mean, it has so much stuff. There's a lot of components. There's a lot of cardboard tiles. The number of heroes is ridiculous. You can do so many combinations. It is ridiculous. You'll also get this Imperial box. This one has a bit fewer stuff. It's more miniatures because the villains, which are the main bad guys, these guys that you will be fighting. That reminds me of one thing about the components. I'll talk as well. They were all the same, so there was each class of villain on the base game. Let's say a shooter, a fighter, and like a bruiser, and not bruiser, that's a hero. I don't remember their names. Like a big guy with a hammer and just a normal fighter. And here you have miniatures for, like, if the bruiser is an orc, or if the shooter is, I don't know, just a bandit, or miniatures for a ghoul, a zombie. individual miniatures for the exact enemy you are fighting in each scenario. Okay, so that's what this one is adding, and a few heroes as well. And then you have the heroes and dungeon box, which again adds this 3D terrain, which is amazing, and a few more heroes. Not a few, but a lot more heroes. Like I said, the variety is incredible with the heroes. There's really a lot to explore. And now a bad thing about the components. This has been addressed I don't know how many times, but I have to mention it, of course. It is the quality of the miniatures on the hero side. So, well, this one is fine actually. Cedric the werewolf, this miniature is fine, but this one not so much. Our archer here, human archer, she looks a bit, it's not bad. I mean, it's definitely playable. I would just keep this if there was no alternative, and I wouldn't really complain too much. But there are new miniatures now that are being made for the heroes. They are available at the Tanaris late pledge as well. If you're getting that, if you don't own anything from Arena, it's a great time to get it, because on the late pledge, everything you buy, it's going to come with the reworked miniatures. If you already have this, you can buy the reworked miniatures on the late pledge, although it is a bit expensive, I have to say. I personally am not buying them. I find them a bit expensive for what they are. I'll just enjoy the game as is. But yeah, you can do that if you want to. The villains, though, are fine. I like the villain miniatures. They are much more detailed, I believe, than the heroes. I don't know why. I don't know what kind of difference technology went here to do these a little bit better, but yeah, they are fine. I wouldn't change the villains at all. But some of the heroes, yeah, you would want your hero to be a bit more, I don't know, more detailed. It's mostly the faces, actually, if I look at it. The rest is kind of okay. But yeah, that's one of the negatives here, is the miniature quality. I've seen a lot of people address it, so it's more than talked about. So yeah, in terms of components, I guess that's pretty much it. Now, components is done. So let's talk about other aspects of the game. So let's talk about the epic campaign, actually. All right. So let's move on then to the other topic, which would be the campaign. Now, I finished the campaign. I played to do this review, I played a single scenario just to get acquainted with the game, and then I felt comfortable with it, and I went to the epic campaign. I think it was 6 or 7 games, and I'm just going to talk about my opinion on that. People are probably going to get it for the campaign. But you can definitely do the one-off scenarios. I'll talk about what I plan to do with the game after finishing that campaign. So overall, talking about a few points here on the campaign. A big plus is the story. I think it is very well written, really well written. I've been impressed recently with the writing on these games. Tinted Grail is a great example. I think the writing is fantastic. It's very absorbing. It really grips your attention. In here, I really like the writing as well. It's not as good as Tinted Grail, but it's damn good. I gotta say, it really hooked me. I really enjoyed it. I did unfortunately do. It's very involved. When you start the campaign, you have a few pages just for lore, just to tell you about this world building, the world they are building, how, you know, which events led you to today, to the campaign that you are going to play, your motivations, everything. So in that sense, it's very well written, a very good world building. They really thought it out. Kudos to them. So yeah, the story is really good. And as you are playing and evolving in your campaign, you're going to have a lot of choices. Usually these choices are crap in these games. I'll be honest. I love, again, I'll use the Descent example. I love to play Descent. It's a simple game to play. But that story is just garbage, completely garbage. Your choices are meaningless. They don't matter almost for nothing. You might play one or another scenario, but there are really no big consequences. Here, things matter, and I feel like I have seen, I don't know, I haven't counted the scenarios on the quest guide, but I felt I've seen like maybe 25% of what the game has to offer, and the choices are really hard. I mean, it's not be the good or the bad guy. Just like in Descent, let's say you found the goblin, he's injured. Do you want to help him? Well, yeah, I mean, you're gonna be the good guy probably, or maybe someone is asking for help. Usually people are gonna do that, and it's going to be obvious you're the good guy. You do a test, if you pass, you get a reward because you did a good action. Here, they aren't that basic, so the story is pretty involved, and choices are hard. They are hard, let me tell you, and they want you to be to read the story with a good degree of attention, because sometimes your choices are actually going to be very geographical. You hear there's something up north or west, but you have to remember that there was something else in the west, so maybe that isn't such a good. So you really have to pay attention to the whole world and the whole story. Sometimes you have to have too much attention, because I actually did a break when I was doing the campaign, and I'll admit when I returned I wasn't sure. I returned in a passage from so I ended the scenario and I didn't read the other bit that would start the next scenario. I just stopped there. When I came back, I started reading all that lore for the next scenario, and I couldn't figure out why is this happening. I honestly couldn't remember, because there are a lot of details here. So I would advise you to don't do a big break in this campaign. Just kind of go with it and play it not in one go, but if you could play it in a few days, that would be great. So yeah, that's the story bit. It's a plus. It's very well written. I really enjoyed it. Another thing with this, when I ended the campaign, there's in the campaign book, and while you are playing the campaign, there's a few achievements. You're going to be writing achievements on a journal. So when you finish the campaign, it asks you, okay, now you have all these achievements. Actually, each achievement will unlock a big column of lore text. There was so many, like a really huge number. And I was just baffled at the quantity of stuff that I missed. I missed so much. I mean, I did like a tenth of the stuff I could do. And I was like, what? How is this possible? What did I miss? How did I miss it? This is the game that when I finished it, I was more prompt and excited to play again. Just because of that. The story is good, and then when you get to the end, you see that, oh my god, I've seen like a glimpse of all that there is to discover here. So I'm really excited to just pick up a completely new team of heroes and just go at it again and do a completely different choices. So that first playthrough, I mean, I won't forget it because those were really my choices. But now I'm just going to go through all of those motions again, and I'm going to do different choices, and I'm really curious to see what happens, where this is going to lead me. The endings, I don't know how many endings there are, but I think there's quite a few. There's quite a few final bosses. And my conclusion, I mean, I concluded that main story, and it was pretty satisfying. I've kind of spoiled myself. I mean, I haven't read the story, but I've seen which other final bosses I can fight. I would say they are pretty definitive to that main story as well. So I guess even the main story will make sense. It will end in different ways, but it will all make sense. So yeah, it seems very well put together. So the story is, again, a very big plus here. Very good individuals. So story is a plus, and then all of the choices, the actual campaign structure is a big plus as well. I mean, it is fantastic, and I will definitely be replaying it. Now, while you are doing that campaign, you are fighting, and you are also going to be solving a few puzzles, which is something pretty different. This is just a very quick plus here, but it is definitely the puzzle, the usage of the puzzles. They are clever. You won't be spending your whole day figuring out the puzzle. They are clever enough to make you lose a little bit of time to solve them, and I really enjoyed them. One of them I couldn't solve. Honestly, I'm not going to spoil it, but one of them I could not solve. So that was pretty good. I really enjoyed that. The inclusion of the puzzle, it's really different, and yeah, I appreciated that a lot. So that's another plus here for the game. Okay, but that's all lovely, but how does it feel to play the game? So, as I said, the game is simple. You're going to have 4 cards here for each hero. You'll be choosing from your 2 main actions. You'll be choosing one. And sometimes you can do a special attack as well. You're going to use them a lot during the game. It's a fairly simple system, but there are quite a few choices actually during the turn. It seems simple. When the game came out, I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, isn't this like too simple? Just pick a card and you play one of two." It seems like it's simple, right? But that's the thing. The important bit, for at least what I found, isn't, well, it is of course which ability you're going to do, but something that is very, very important here is positioning. This is a very tactical game where positioning and the turn order is going to be really, really, really important. As I said, heroes, so they have their stats here, they have their normal abilities, their specials, and then they all have this passive right here. The team that I used in the campaign, so for example, this is a good example. This is Garion the Rogue, is a tactician. His passive is a trigger. Hit a target that is adjacent to at least one of your allies on your first hit of the turn, and that target takes 4 damage. Which means, when he hits someone, he wants an ally to be adjacent. Now, I played this guy during my campaign, which is Cedric the Werewolf. His passive is the complete opposite. If he hits someone, and that someone isn't adjacent to an ally, to one of the allies, he is going to deal plus 4 damage. So I really wanted, if Garion was adjacent, I kind of wanted someone to be adjacent when Garion hits, but then no one there when Cedric hits. And Niari, for example, I use Niari a lot, which is the hunter. Yeah, I had that card here, sorry. So Niari is, when she hits someone from 5 spaces away, she gets plus 4 damage as well. So I want Niari to be always far away. If she isn't, I'm going to position her in a way that she can get the most damage output in that turn. She also has her specials, which are, one of them is, she's going to fire like a special attack, an arrow that is in a straight line, and she's going to hit everyone in that straight line. So what I could do is use my other characters that have abilities that actually move my villains, try to move my villains in a straight line, and then with Niari just use that special and hit the most villains possible. So it is very tactical in the sense of movement. Movement is very important, I find it, in this game. The way you position your characters, in the order you activate them in. So you have those 4 heroes, you can choose whichever order of activation on each of the rounds. And I found that very, very engaging and a very good... in good contrast of just using 2 of the cards. So honestly, if this was complicated as well, if you had a whole bunch of cards, you would lose a lot of time on your turns. And I think this is a very good mix of, this is simple mechanic, choose a card, but then, yeah, don't just go running around blindly and in the dungeon and just staying in dangerous way, because that's not going to go well for you. Now, the AI here is composed of a deck. I really like the AI. It's one of the nicest ones in terms of dungeon crawler. You just turn up a card and it's going to tell you the priority of the minions, and they'll just do that. They'll follow those instructions. It's super easy to to manage. The decisions are really simple. You won't be left in doubt of where is he gonna go. It's really straightforward. It's the villains' turns are super fast. And that's another thing I like, because they might go for the nearest character or the farthest one. So you can kind of play with that as well in your positioning. So if you think, oh, this guy is gonna die, let's say Cedric, he's a melee character, he's gonna die. So how can I activate him this turn, but not make him, since he's a melee, not make him be the closest character? So maybe go with him and hit this villain, and maybe use someone to move the villain a little bit back, and then have someone go melee with him. See, so there's these great combos that you can do here playing the game. They are very rewarding, they feel very good. So all in all, I think it's a very good gameplay loop here on this game. That's a big plus for me. It's very tactical. There's a big emphasis on positioning and synergy between the characters that I really, really love. And it really makes you, again, want to try a different composing team, because those combos you found on your first team that I found on my 4 heroes, I won't use them on my new playthrough for sure, and I'll have to figure out new combos that's going to be very rewarding, that mixing of different heroes. So that's definitely definitely a plus for me. Now with that said, it is a loop that might become repetitive. A few of my scenarios, not one, there were a few, they were a bit long. They took quite a while, and that loop, it becomes a bit repetitive. In longer plays, I was finding it a bit tiresome, I'll admit. But all in all, I enjoyed it. All in all, it is enjoyable. Overall, I feel the gameplay is definitely a plus, but there are a few. Honestly, I wouldn't do a scenario here. I wouldn't construct scenarios that are very long, because that might feel a little bit repetitive. But that also depends on the mechanics of the scenario. And that's going to bring me to my next topic here, which is also a plus. There's a lot of pluses here, which is, it is the mechanisms of this game. This is like a big playground, okay? This board is a really big playground. They really have a lot of freedom in this game. You can notice that, and you see that if you play the campaign. All the scenarios I played were like really, they all had singular, unique, I'm just bumping this, but they all have unique mechanisms while you are playing. Stuff like, for example, here you have this, you could do like, I don't know if you can see this, you could form this small room while playing the campaign and do something that, I don't know, you open up this door and there's nothing there, but they could, you open up, this is a dead end, and I don't know, a boulder just came rolling down. Let's say this was a closed corridor, just came rolling down. What are you going to do? You're going to have to attack this wall, destroy it, to flee from this corridor. They do take those liberties in the campaign, and the scenarios all have a lot of these little small triggers, small differences that overall make the scenarios very compelling and very different from each other. I don't want to spoil. I'm not going to say the scenario. I'll just spoil one of the things that might happen. You enter in a room, and then the walls start to close. So you're going to be moving the 3D walls start to close in. So that's really cool. They do stuff like that. There's a scenario that's my favorite. It's like an escape. That's really cool. It is a big playground. So that's one of the things that I like about this game. This is like a great platform for building a dungeon crawling experience. Now, sometimes, again, like I said, it can become repetitive, but overall, I think it's a great start. I really love what they did here with the game. They picked on old dungeon crawl tropes, and they built on that. They created a great dungeon crawler engine here, and that you can see that if you play all of these scenarios, you can definitely see like those small ideas that they had, and they just integrated them on each of the scenarios. They play very differently in certain aspects. There's debuffs, there's scenarios where you are being shot at all the time, other ones where you have to pick up stuff in different rooms. Each room has its own characteristics and its challenges. So yeah, it's definitely great to see all of those different ideas being applied here on this game. So that's, again, it is a plus on the creativeness and the mechanics of each of the scenarios. Scenarios are very, very different. But as I said, that sometimes that difference comes a bit down from the negative of the repetitiveness from those longer scenarios. The ones that are longer, I didn't enjoy them as much. All right, so one thing I kind of mentioned, the fiddliness, but I didn't mention the overall progression of the campaign. So the story is going to progress, of course, and also your character will progress. I've also seen a few people say that it's a bit too simple. Honestly, I have no problem with the character progression here. For me, it's neutral. It's not negative. It's not positive. You'll just be It's 6 games. It's not like a huge campaign. But honestly, there are quite a few different things you can upgrade here. So you can buy these cards, these big cards that should be tokens. The power, the health, the precision to have more on your attack rules. You can boost your defense. You can also buy different attack cards, the ones that you start with 4. I'm sorry. You can also buy artifacts, which are, it's like piece of equipment that your hero is going to have. You can buy scrolls that are like a one-use magic ability for the scenario. You can buy first aids to revive, so that it's easier to revive your fallen comrades. There's a lot of stuff that you can get. So honestly, I mean, yes, it's not a huge character progression. There's not like a progression tree. That's being addressed in the Tanaris as well. That's something that they are definitely working on to offer a bigger, improved character progression. But again, I think it made sense because Tanaris is a big, super epic campaign. This one, it's 6 games. I mean, you don't need an amazing progression for that. I think it is fine for the length of the campaign here. So for me, it is a neutral. Even though it's not spectacular, the progression, it's kind of the same for each of the characters. They're not... There aren't individual character trees, and that would be cool to have, and it would make it a plus, but as is, it's neutral for me. It's really not a big problem. Now, that brings me to another negative here, and this kind of relates to the components, the component aspect of the game, as I'm mentioning them. And it is the organization, general organization of the information. So, we have this campaign deck here to, again, track stuff, bits of stuff about the campaign. There's scrolls or parts of text that you're going to pick up during your campaign. You actually take that card, you keep it with you. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with skipping between this deck and the campaign tome. No issues whatsoever. I do have some issues with a few bits of information regarding the gameplay and the campaign that are kind of scattered. One thing that I really don't enjoy is when you're looking at a rulebook, at the end of the rulebook, like right near the end, quest rewards. So it talks a little bit about the epic campaign and the overall structure of the epic campaign. How do you use this deck and evolve from scenario to scenario? And then it has this part right here, which is special rewards. If you are playing the epic campaign, get the following rewards according to how many quests you have played before. All heroes in the group must choose the specific rewards immediately before drawing the quest's campaign card. And then, first quest, free primary attack card, which is one of these little cards. So, when you finish up your first quest, you're going to get a reward. It's going to be that card. I get that you can't put this information on the campaign deck because, well, the first quest is the first quest, but from there on, it's dependent on your choices. The second and third, it probably might differ. I don't even know. But why don't you put this on the campaign tome? I would remove it from the rulebook because I read the rulebook and then I was reading other stuff. Honestly, it was by luck that I remembered this this part of the reward because I'm playing a campaign, so I'm going to look at the campaign tome and I'm going to look at the quest guide. This is already 2 books that I'll have to consult while playing, and also the campaign deck, but that's a different outlet of information, I guess. Don't make me have to keep the rulebook here as well. These are 3 books that's too much. You can just pick up this information, just place it here on the campaign tome, right here on the first page, where you have all the upgrades that you can buy. I love that this is right at the start, right here. So when I finish a scenario, I usually would come and consult this. So I have XP, which is your currency here to buy upgrades on the game. As you do objectives during each of the games, you're going to get X number of XP, and you can spend it consulting this table right here. I would just put that part right here. I don't know why that's scattered and it's at the end of the rulebook. I don't think it should be there. It should definitely be right here at the start of the campaign tome, next to the store a bit. So that's definitely a big negative. Is the starting of the information is a bit scattered in how it's presented. Again, here with the quest guide. Let's say I'm playing, I don't want to spoil, so let me go to the first quest, which is probably the one people know. So Lava Citadel, I think playthroughs are usually of this one. Lava Citadel, so when you play a quest, as I said, these generic villains, they are different from each scenario. Even though this is like a sniper, it could be an elf archer, it could be an orc archer, and they're going to have different stats. And those differences are here on the quest guide, on here along with the layout of that scenario. That means that every single time you're playing a scenario, I looked at this book maybe, I don't want to exaggerate, but more than 30 times. Because I couldn't remember the stats on these orcs. Because I'm playing different villains every single time. So I can't, in my mind, I can't, I don't know, remember what I'm doing, which villain I'm fighting, or the stats of the villain I'm fighting right now. Let's say I played a huge playthrough scenario, a big playthrough a lot of time against these orcs. Yeah, now I'll remember there are 7 basic, 6 defense, 6 movement. If I play against an elf, I'll have to consult the book. The orc is in my mind, not the elf. So having this here, having me pull this book every single time I need to see the stats is not good. Also, again, it's a big playground, and I love that they can do that with the game. But that means that as you are playing in this playground, you're going to have to consult this book once and time again. So each door, they can have events that trigger after a certain door is open, or after you, I don't know, you enter a room or you spot the villain, and those triggers are here, are explained right here. Again, as you are going around in the playground, okay, now I spotted, let's see what happens. And this is it's the idea of a book. Having to scroll through the book, I don't like it. I would prefer just like a player aid, like something this size would do. I mean, have the setup here on one of the sides, maybe with the stats of the villains, and on the other side the triggers. I don't know, something more portable to play. I would love that. Because I don't like having to consult this quest guide over and over again. It's not fun for me, especially if I have to consult a rule. I'm gonna have to have the rule book as well. So while playing, I gotta go with 2 books. While evolving the story, I gotta go with 3 books. So this is, well, this goes back into that topic of fiddliness of the components, which draws me out of the experience here. Because this 3D terrain is done to absorb you, to really capture your attention, your imagination while playing. And that imagination is completely broken from all of this consulting of the abilities, and then let's see what condition this villain has. Oh wait, I don't know, he has exposed, but can he be exposed? What does that mean? It's less 3 defense. How much defense does he have? I have to check here his stats. So yeah, there's a lot of rummaging around through all of the components, and that's a big negative for me, and it's what really drags the experience down. I think this is a great, again, playground. It is a great start to this series. I'm very excited to what they are going to do with Daenerys, because there are going to be a lot of improvements. I know that these books are also going to be updated, but I don't know what those updates are. So I can only talk about what I have right now, okay? So I know, again, there are improvements being done. The tokens are being looked at. There's going to be condition tokens. These books are being reworked, the minis are being reworked, so a lot of new things are coming. I'm actually going to leave a link here in the description of this video so that you can check out the Daenerys Adventure Pledge Manager. That's going to be a very big expansion to Arena. It's going to bring a super... this is called Epic Campaign. I don't know what the other one is called, because it's like a really big scope. It looks spectacular, I'll be honest. Artwork is fantastic. You have a lot of stuff in there, a big dragon collection with miniatures for each of the dragons. Spoiler alert, there's dragons here, a lot of them. So yeah, it looks great, and I know this is a passion project from Dergory Games, and they are doing their best to improve everything in the game. And Daenerys' Adventures will bring a few upgrades here for Arena. So again, if you are interested in this and you want to see more info, check out the link. It's going to lead you to the late pledge manager page, and you can see kind of which upgrades are being done there. I'm not completely sure on all of them, but I know some of the things are definitely being addressed and being improved, and new mechanics are being brought in. So yeah, That's it for me. I hope this was useful for you. Again, there's going to be a playthrough here on the channel. Let me kind of sort out the table organization. Please give me ideas. Please leave it in the comments. If you uploaded an image on Board Game Geek of your table while playing the game, let me know what is the best organization that you found here for this game, because that's going to really help me with the playthrough for all of you. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to do the Lava Citadel as well, because I think that's a bit overdone. I think I'll just do another scenario, maybe one that has the boss fights, which I wanted to talk about here on the review. I haven't, but hey, actually I'll probably do one that involves a big dragon, not just the boss fight, but maybe something else. But yeah, that's something I didn't talk about. Oh well, I can't talk about there's so much stuff in the game, and this is long already. But yeah, overall, that's my feelings with Arena the contests. Again, check out the late pledge. The manager is still open. That's it for me again. I'll stop saying that and I'll actually finish up the video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you on the next video. And yeah, until then, stay safe, everyone. Goodbye.